Dana White has just announced the main event of UFC 322, which is going to be Islam Makhachev trying to get his second belt against JDM at welterweight in Madison Square Garden. Now, when this fight was unofficially announced, when JDM beat Belal Muhammad, I was pretty confident that he was going to get the upset win despite being the underdog against Islam Makhachev. But after watching a few of their fights back, I've kind of changed my mind on the fight. And breaking this fight down, let's start with the most recent performance from either guy, Belal Muhammad versus JDM. Now, in this fight, JDM looked great. Obviously, his boxing looked great. His cardio looked very good. And his takedown defense looked much improved from the Gilbert Burns fight. There were multiple moments, especially in the 5th round, where he got taken down and his ability to get up when it looked like he was going to get controlled for the rest of the round and potentially lose the fight because of it. But he was able to get back up and finish the round strong, winning the fight. Now, comparing Islam Makhachev to Belal Muhammad, is Islam better or worse for JDM? I do think Belal is underrated on the feet. He is pretty durable. He has fast hands and his boxing is pretty decent. But Islam Makhachev is definitely the better striker of the two. And in terms of grappling, while Belal Muhammad does have a very good ability to get it to the ground, just like Islam Makhachev, which JDM proved that he was able to avoid, Islam Makhachev is much more dangerous on the ground with submissions. When JDM tries to get back up, when he scrambles up to his feet, he's at constant risk of getting submitted. And Belal Muhammad, I don't think, has the control of Islam Makhachev, where Belal Muhammad makes a ton of mistakes. We saw that in the Leon Edwards fight, where either he doesn't do enough damage on the ground or he's just able to get reversed, causing him to lose position. Now, the mistakes that Belal Muhammad made in his fight against JDM that cost him his belt, well, for one, I know a lot of people say that Belal Muhammad just wanted to box, he didn't shoot takedowns, and then there's the other side that say, yes, he did shoot takedowns, where I think it's a little bit of both. Belal Muhammad did not shoot enough takedowns, but of the ones that he did, I think he shot maybe 14 takedowns or something like that. JDM was able to stuff the majority of them. Belal Muhammad's problem that Islam Makhachev will likely improve on is he didn't shoot early enough and he let JDM ease into the fight, where it was mainly just striking in the 1st round. And when he did shoot, JDM did a very good job at stuffing the takedown. Belal allowed himself to get backed up, especially in the 1st round, where you compare it to the Leon fight, where he was pressure, and he was able to push back Leon, get the takedown within the 1st minute and establish control. Where with JDM, he was fighting on the back foot, which makes it harder to shoot takedowns. Now, I know Leon Edwards mainly fights on the back foot, so it was easier to pressure Leon compared to JDM, who is a boxer and just has better takedown defense than Leon. And I know for Islam Makhachev, he also fights on the back foot, but he does pressure occasionally. We saw that at the beginning of the Dustin Poirier fight, and his boxing is much better compared to Leon Edwards, where that's one of his biggest weaknesses. And this is the main reason why I picked JDM to beat Belal Muhammad, is because I feel like Belal's pressure is a little bit overrated, where outside of that Leon 2nd fight, he's not really a pressure fighter, and he does fight on the back foot in a ton of his fights. Now, with that being said, there will be moments in this fight where it's on the feet, just like Belal and JDM is pressing back Islam Makhachev. But even here, Belal Muhammad was still having success when he was getting pushed back. It still was close on the feet. And I think for a decision win, if Islam is able to keep it close on the feet and maybe get 1 or 2 takedowns in the round, they're probably going to give him the round. I think for JDM, he does have a few weaknesses that did help him against Belal Muhammad. He switched up from his high guard to be able to stuff takedowns easily, where Belal Muhammad didn't do a great job of mixing in the grappling with the striking like he did against Leon, where he throws up top, makes you have a high guard, and then shoots. With JDM, when he backed him up against the fence, he was just really throwing. He wasn't shooting any takedowns and he wasn't mixing up anything, where I think Islam Makhachev, it's going to be a little bit different, where he's going to be able to mix it in maybe a little bit better. When they were in the open because of this, JDM was easily able to stuff Belal's takedowns, and the only time he really got close is when he was able to get takedowns, or at least get close to getting him down against the fence. I think in these positions, even if Makhachev doesn't get the takedown, which I don't think he's gonna get it every time, I do think even against the fence, JDM is going to be able to stuff a lot of the takedowns. I do think when they're in the clinch, Islam Makhachev is going to be able to land knees to the body. He's very good in the clinch, and maybe he's going to be able to throw JDM down because that's where he really shines in the grappling and getting the fight to the ground. I also think because of JDM's kind of low stance, obviously the head kick is going to be there. We saw Belal partially land it, but Belal's kicks are not as good as Makhachev's, though I don't think Makhachev is really going to knock out JDM. And also the knee up the middle is going to be there with JDM's head movement. Again, I don't think Islam's going to get a knockout, but they are weapons that are there for him in this fight. Now, if you look at JDM's mistakes, he only really made mistakes in round 5 where he was engaging in the grappling. I believe he shot his own takedown at one point. It almost cost him the fight, and we do know because of the Hafez fight, JDM's fight IQ isn't the best at times, though it has improved. So I don't think JDM will make these same mistakes that he made in round 5, which is definitely going to help him. And even in that fight, he was able to get up, scramble to his feet, and win the round. Now, if we look at the Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier fight that I do think is the closest to the JDM fight, he was fighting Dustin Poirier, who's been out of his prime for a few years, and Dustin Poirier, I don't even think his boxing is at the level of JDM, maybe even in his prime, and I think his grappling / takedown defense definitely is not as good as JDM. But with that being said, Islam Makhachev didn't struggle that much in this fight. Even if he didn't get the Hail Mary finish, it still would have been a 49-46 decision. And the only reason it would have been embarrassing is because Charles Oliveira and Khabib were able to finish Dustin Poirier earlier, where Makhachev was seen as the guy who's going to finish him the fastest, but he still looked really good in that fight. The first round, he pushed Dustin Poirier back, landing good shots, and then taking him down and controlling him for the rest of the round. I think he needs to do this against JDM. He needs to pressure early and get the takedown early to establish dominance. I am worried for Islam that if he's not able to get JDM down in the first round, JDM is going to be able to ease into the fight, make his reads, and I think it's going to be a lot harder for Makhachev to win the later rounds because of this. In the second round against Poirier, he struggled to take him down in the open, and he only got the takedown, I believe, at the end of the round against the fence, which is where he gets most of his takedowns, but he still outstruck Dustin Poirier in this round, and his boxing and stand-up looked really good. In round 3, he outstruck him again, and he was able to get dominant position for about a minute or two against Dustin Poirier on the ground. The Poirier was able to use the fence and get back to his feet, which is pretty impressive, and I do think if JDM was in that position, he'd be able to get up again, just like Dustin Poirier. Round 4, it's more of the same. This is the one round where he lost, where maybe he wasn't able to outstrike Dustin Poirier. He failed, I believe, 2 takedowns in the open, and then he was able to finally get a takedown against the cage, but again, Dustin Poirier is able to get back up to his feet. And then round 5, it was pretty close. He is able to get a takedown in the open and finishes Dustin Poirier, showing how good he is on the ground and how dangerous he is of a submission artist. We saw against Volkanovski, he arguably outstruck him. His stand-up looked really good, and again, he mainly was able to get takedowns against the cage. So how do I see this fight going in my early prediction after watching a few of their fights back? I do think it's pretty close, and I think for the possibilities, I don't think Makhachev is going to knock out JDM. I think most people would agree. If it goes to the scorecards, I think it's going to be like a 48-47 decision either way. With Belal Muhammad, it was a pretty close fight, even though I do think JDM won 49-46. But the first 3 rounds were pretty close, though I do think JDM won all 3, where I think Makhachev is a much better fighter than Belal. So I do think he'd be able to make it a little bit closer of a fight, and I see it being a 48-47 either way. I think JDM by knockout is possible, but Makhachev, I think his striking defense is a lot better than Belal Muhammad, but I don't know if he's as durable as Belal Muhammad. I think an Islam Makhachev submission is very possible. With JDM constantly trying to get back up to his feet, it's going to leave him open at times for submissions. But how do I see this fight going? I would lean right now with an Islam Makhachev decision win, like a 48-47 decision. The reason being is I think when he gets JDM down, he's going to get close to getting the submission. I think he's going to rack up some control time while keeping it close on the feet. So I think, again, there's going to be a lot of close rounds. I think JDM is really good, but I think Islam Makhachev is going to slightly outpoint him. I think JDM will do good, but I think Islam Makhachev is just better than Belal Muhammad. So right now, I am leaning Islam Makhachev. I haven't watched all of their fights back. This is a super early prediction, but if I had to give an early lean, I would go with Islam either by like a close decision or a submission. I think JDM, I don't think he's going to knock out Islam Makhachev. I think if JDM wins, the most likely outcome is he slightly outpoints Islam Makhachev, where he does do damage at the end of the rounds. But at the same time, I could see the round being close, and then Islam Makhachev is able to get the takedown at the end of the rounds. And maybe I get control time doesn't mean much, but if it is super close on the feet, just like Belal versus JDM in the early rounds, they're probably going to lean Islam Makhachev. We saw with the judges' scorecards against JDM and Belal Muhammad, some of them gave the early rounds to Belal Muhammad, even without him getting the takedown, where I think if he got the takedown, they probably would have gave him the round more clearly, even though I still probably would have disagreed with it. But Islam Makhachev, I think he's going to be able to make it close on the feet. I think he's going to get takedowns, and JDM is going to be in danger with the submissions, though I don't know if Islam is going to be able to finish them. So right now, I'm leaning Islam Makhachev by like a slight decision, a very close decision, 48-47. Let me know what you disagree with, who you think is winning this fight. Let me know what you think, and yeah.